All right, TC Bio, AP Bio, excuse me. This is the second video in our Domain 1 video series, how natural selection works. Hope you watched the first one. Musical guest right now is Pearl Jam. Do the evolution with lyrics. So on my YouTube, I'm a big Pearl Jam fan as well. Kind of hard to find a lot of songs with about evolution in the title. So this is Pearl Jam. So we're going to go between Pearl Jam and Eminem. So we'll kind of go, let this one jam out for a little bit. Probably kind of hard to hear. So anyways, we'll get back to Eddie Vedder a little bit later. So we're talking about how natural selection works. This one's going to take us to about slides 25 through 37. So we talk about, hopefully you guys remember genotype and phenotype. I shouldn't have to go over this. But genotype is the genetics. So genotype determines phenotype, right? And so when we talk about genotype, we talk about two types. We've got homozygous, which are two copies of the same allele, so like big T, big T. And then we have heterozygous, which are two copies of different alleles for each trait, so like big T, little t. Remembering that the dominant often masks the recessive, or I shouldn't say masks, but actually turns it off biochemically. And then the phenotype is the physical. Why I'm doing this is because later on in this domain, we're going to get into Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium and talk about what happens when evolution, or when populations, remember populations, don't evolve. So alleles control the production of proteins. I've already shown this to you before. This is your central dogma, DNA to RNA to protein, genotype, DNA, RNA to phenotype to the trait. And so it's important that we kind of make sure that we're always referring back to modern synthesis. So dominant recessive, hopefully I don't have to go over this, but dominant, again, it will control the phenotype. It will shut down the recessive. So eye color, which is wrong, but I'm going to simplify it. It's actually polygenic. Two alleles, capital B, lowercase b, two phenotypes, brown and blue. So eye color genetics, again, I should have probably picked a better example, but you have three possible genotypes. Big B, homozygous dominant, big B, little b, heterozygous, little b, homozygous recessive, and then you have your two possible phenotypes being brown eyes and blue eyes. And so heterozygotes have brown eyes. And so just a quick review of the genetics there. So evolution misconception alert. I really got to find a better way to keep moving my face. Dominant does not mean better. Dominant alleles are not better than recessive alleles. There are some dominant disorders like Huntington's disease. Dominant and recessive alleles have nothing to do with their effect on fitness, right? They only refer to how they contribute to phenotype expression. So dominant traits are not better. Recessive traits aren't worse. It's just that's a misconception that has somehow been perpetuated through some of your classes. Phenotypes and fitness. Right? Different phenotypes will be more or less fit depending on the requirements of the environment. So remember, the environment is what is choosing who lives and dies, essentially. If you have a change in the environment, those organisms that are not best fit for that environment will die or will not be able to reproduce and pass on their alleles. Fitness, important term here, ability to contribute genes to the next generation, survive and reproduce. You have to include reproduction when you talk about fitness. And so again, the environment is what determines the fitness. So again, here's our fitness that changes with the environment. I've already shown this to you. Initial frequency distribution, 20, 20, 20, 20, or 0.2, 0.2, 20%, whatever. Fifth generation, 10th, and again, something has occurred in this environment that is selected for the red, selected against the yellow, selected against the pink, right? So they were not the most fit. So they have some kind of genetic or allele difference that makes it so they cannot survive. So an example of this would be pesticide resistance. This would be a good example of how natural selection works. So here's our first generation. Before pesticide application, we have lots of white beetles, one red. We apply the pesticide, and as you can see, we've got one red beetle, we got two. Now if we go to our later generation, what we see is we now have red, and we've got what, 4 red, 4 white. But then you apply the pesticide again, you've completely eliminated, well, I shouldn't say completely, you've almost eliminated all of the white. And so now the red is the most fit. And so whatever that allele is, as you can see, we've seen evolution occur because the allele frequency, that trait of red coloration, has been selected for, the coloration of white has been selected against. And so human impact on variation. So how can humans, so that pesticide application is a human impact, right? We have screwed up a lot of systems, but humans are able to impact variation in other organisms by controlling which ones are able to reproduce. So this is artificial selection. So this is how we as humans determine which ones are more successful based on what trait we choose. So for example, in dog breeds, right? Certain dogs are bred for certain uses, you know, whether it was for hunting or for showmanship, right? So that would be an example of artificial selection. Food crops, right? I don't know if you guys realize this, but there are more carrots don't just come in orange. They come in multiple varieties in terms of colors. Apples. Most of the fruit and vegetables that we eat are the products of natural or artificial selection, and we've actually may have created some monsters, especially in the animal world. When we look at like things like turkeys and chickens, right? We've artificially selected chickens so they have larger, you know, wings and thighs, because that's what we will eat, right? And so, and same thing with turkeys. Turkeys, you know, they can fly. They roost at night. So wild turkey will roost at night. They'll roost up in a tree. We've now artificially selected turkeys so much they can't fly. So, in terms of artificial selection, we as humans have selected for those traits. So again, a lot of this should be review. It's not too difficult, but the biggest thing you got to get here is that how natural selection works. It works by the environment selecting a factor, leading to a change in allele frequency. Us as humans, we have also been able to cause natural selection via, well, artificial selection to occur. So this one's kind of short, only about 7 minutes, but again, I'm trying to break these up into chunks. So again, let me see if I get some Pearl Jam playing again here. I got the little Wheel of Death. The Wi-Fi, as you know, is awesome here in 102. So this is me, Mr. Mansour, signing off from Tiffin's beautiful South Side, room 102 in the Heart of Colombian. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video. Got a little... Right.